Hey guys, it is Janine. I am coming on live with you. And today we are going to talk about something that you guys asked for a while ago, but I have been so busy building my house and just dealing with my business and life in general. So it's been a hot minute, but that's okay. So we're going to talk about what do we talk about at the nude beach? We talk about all kinds of subjects, and it has to do with topics related to unmasking from the past. So today's topic is along the lines of difficult and toxic relationships, aka gaslighting. And the reason why I do these is so that you guys can learn how to cope, heal, and promote understanding on how to sense different things in relationships that are healthy for you and unhealthy for you. Today's topic, I'm going to talk in the form of gaslighting, and you may not even know what gaslighting is, or you may. And some of you have experienced it, some of you may have not. And on this topic, I'm going to review things that you may not even realize are gaslighting. So, before we jump into the things that you may not recognize as gaslighting, I'm going to mention how gaslighting is the denial of the reality in another person. So it can be actually denying events that have occurred, behaviors that were engaged, words that were said. It can be just invalidation or denial of anybody's emotions. Saying to someone things like what you said was not the way you feel, or that you're being too sensitive. And let's face it, you already know what this is. I've talked about so many different topics in regards to toxic relationship signs, such as some videos that I've done. I've written about things. I've done lots of workshops on this, stuff like toxic bonding, narcissistic behavior, things like that. But most of you already get that. You know what I'm about. You know what I bring. And I just like to unmask stuff, right? I like to bring topics that are hard to talk about so we can be vulnerable and move past these limitations. So the point that I want to talk about today, it comes up more and more. And this is the thing. Gaslighting happens all the time. And a lot of times we aren't even recognizing what's happening. So with this being said, the biggest contributor of why many people are stuck in gaslighting and narcissistic relationships, I'm going to tell you a story. So the scenario, what happens is sometimes when you're not realizing that gaslighting is happening, what can happen that we're unaware of is the fact that there's a scenario where behind closed doors in a narcissistic relationship, there's a lot of invalidation, devaluing, manipulation, lies, criticism, so many things that this narcissistic person will do behind closed doors. But when they're out in public, it's completely different. This narcissistic person in your life is all of a sudden the most charming person. They're super generous to other people around them. They're the kind of person that will remember other people's names. They'll pull out chairs. They'll offer to pay for things for other people, like take the tabs on things. They're the kind of people that will constantly give and go out of their way to help everybody around them. They will compliment these people. They'll make you and them feel in a bigger outside surrounding, like everything is peachy keen and they're the nicest person around. And then when you're behind closed doors, it's almost like a flip of a switch. It's like you've turned into the Matrix or something. You'll look at this narcissistic person, you'll be like, wait, okay, this person, because of what they're doing outside, they're so fucking amazing. They're so great. They're so amazing. And they will tell you things that, like, oh, I forgot. You'll think to yourself, I forgot how amazing this person is, because outside, when they're surrounded by people, they'll be like, oh, okay, well, you're doing all these things for this person. This is why I fell in love with you. But then behind closed doors, it's completely different. And you're like, wow, what's going on here? Maybe it's me that's sabotaging this relationship. Maybe I'm doing something that's maybe my standards are too high. Maybe I'm overthinking all of this because they're being so great when we're out in public, when we're surrounded by people. They're so helpful. They're so thoughtful. And so you go over in your brain and you're like, okay, yeah, like I said, maybe I'm overthinking this. I'm so lucky to be with this person. This is the relationship. This is confirming why I'm with this partner and why they're so great. And so your friends and your family will constantly compliment this person. They're like, wow, you're so lucky. This person has such great manners. They're so helpful. They're so thoughtful. And then you get this warm, fuzzy feeling inside, and you'll leave wherever you are and you'll go home with this person. And as soon as you get into the car or you get home, what happens is you feel like, oh my God, their face, like their complete demeanor changes. Okay. And you're looking at this person and you're like, what just happened? Well, we were having such a great time. Like all this stuff was going on. What's wrong here? Why is everything changed? And you'll start thinking to yourself, okay, well, maybe I'm just criticizing the situation. Maybe it's just me devaluing what's going on. And it's like this back and forth whiplash that's happening. And so what happens in like these narcissistic relationships where gaslighting becomes present is it's always 3 steps forward, 10 steps back. There's this cognitive dissonance that happens, and you're focused on the 3 steps forward that you're missing the 4 steps backward, and you end up feeling like you're failing time and time again. And then you end up blaming yourself. And then the emotions start roller coasting, and like you feel depleted. You're like, okay, well, this person is doing all these grand gestures. They're throwing all this stuff when we're in front of people. But when we're behind closed doors, what's happening is you feel like you don't matter. And then there's the form of ultimate gaslighting that happens because everyone around you is like telling you how amazing this person is. And then you feel like you're living a delusion. You're like, well, what? Well, yeah, they're being very generous and helpful and doing all these things for everybody that makes them look charming. But what they're not understanding or recognizing is that behind closed doors, there's a problem. And then a lot of people don't actually know how to recognize narcissism or gaslighting. So they think that they're telling you all these things, and then you're like, oh man, is this person really great? Am I just anxious and feeling weird about something because of my own problems, my own limitations? No, what's happening is it's a form of experiencing narcissistic abuse, and you become very anxious because there's this back and forth, up and down energy that's happening. And then you creates a lot of sadness and self-doubt within you, and you may actually view this as like, again, internalized, like, oh, I'm the problem. No, what's happening is this narcissist that's gaslighting you is getting their energy off of these other people, and then they're looking like this sunny saints, and they're putting up this illusion, but it's because they're trying to get that dopamine, right? So what happens is when they get that dopamine, you go behind the closed doors, they need to debrief that energy. They're like, they've been dealing with all these people, and it's this mask that's put on, and they think that everything's okay. You think everything's okay, but no, they're trying to feed themselves this energy, and then once they get back, they have to work through this. They have to they end up feeling overwhelmed, so then they take stuff out on you. But yeah, so what happens is, like I said, this person, you'll bring it up to them and you'll be like, hey, you're doing all this stuff for everybody, you're acting a certain way, and then they'll look at you like you're overreacting. And then you're sitting there and you're like, what the hell is happening? Why is this person doing all this stuff over here, looking all charming, and then when we get back, it's like no emotion. They just shut right off. And what's happening is they put on a mask, okay? When they're outside in public helping people, they want to look like the savior. They've got like a savior complex where they have to help all these people, make themselves look all great. But this is the fool of the narcissist supply, right? They're going out, they're doing this to try to feel good, but it's draining energy for them. So when they get back, they've already gotten their supply from people. It makes them feel good. They're in like this, I did this, I helped these people, I was the savior. It was great. But then the bottom line is when they get home, they're so depleted because they were acting a certain way that's not true to them. And it's that narcissistic supply. And it's this back and forth energy that they're trying to balance out, but they don't really know how to. So you can only wear a mask for so long and charm people for so long, and it becomes utterly exhausting. And that's what's happening here. They get so exhausted from trying to wear this mask that when they get back into the car with you or they get home with you, the mask comes off. And it comes off almost immediately because they feel so depleted. They had to be this charmer in public. They had to manipulate. And then so when they get home, they use you as another supply, right? To try to balance out this energy because they're exhausted. And this may be in the form of trying to use you for sex. This could be in manipulating you to do things that you don't want to do, making you feel like things are going on that aren't actually going on. And it's this disconnect. And what's happening is the narcissistic person is doing what a narcissistic personality does. Like it's the supply of public, and then they get rid of this tension, and it's about regulating their shame. So they do this by lying to you, deceiving you, making you feel like your reality is not your reality. And this stimulates more of their shame because you're the closest thing to them. So the narcissist is in like a dismissive state because, well, they're disgusted by their behavior on a subconscious level. And then so they're trying to find another fuel. So they may get overly intimate, too much closeness, or they feel like emotionally depleted, or they shut down and they don't want to communicate. There's no empathy there. The empathy goes out the window. Okay. And then they often are contemptuous and to those that are very close to them. And that they do this because, well, in the short term, they want to be charismatic. They want to be charming. They want to show that they are all put together. They want to show that this is what they want society or the people around them that are not close to them, that they don't need to get a full supply of. They only get little pieces of them so they can give them that mask. They want to come across to their extended family, their colleagues, their friends, that they're this amazing, helpful person, that they're this amazing individual that goes out of their way to do things for them, to be super nice, to pay for that check, to buy this, to whatever it is that they're doing. And it's this dynamic that pronounces they're the person to go to. It's that they have this intimate relationship, that they are the awesome person. And so they do this. They will charm the beloved people in their lives. They will go out in public and they will act this this validating way. And then behind closed doors, they will be emotionally withdrawn. And then they act like you're spoiled because you're trying to connect. But they want other people to think of them as this certain way. So it's this again, this back and forth energy. And it's absolutely exhausting. It's exhausting to them, but they don't recognize that it's exhausting to them. So they turn it into this you're the problem, because they're not understanding that they're getting their fuel from other people. And then it's they're exhausted from that because they have this mask on, this inferior complex that's happening. They're doing all the stuff that they don't actually want to do, which bottoms down to people pleasing because they want to look good. And then they're exhausted after that. And then they go with you behind closed doors, and then they're angry or they're confused, or they make you into they're emotionally distant. It could be a number of different things. Sometimes this turns into abuse. Every situation's different. It depends on how much the gaslighting, the narcissistic supply they've gotten out in public, and where they are mentally. Again, there's a big spectrum here. But again, they're trying to get a supply. That is the bottom line of this. And over time in these relationships, what happens is the person that they're dealing with, say you're dealing with this person, you're going to start to get overly anxious. You're going to get confused. You're going to feel helpless, and you're going to get angry. And then you're going to be like, hey, what the fuck? And what happens is eventually you're going to stick up for yourself because you're confused. And you're like, why are you doing this over here? And you're doing this when we're alone. It doesn't make much sense. It's not adding up to you. And so you'll eventually come out. And then sometimes this comes out when other people are around. And then what happens is the narcissist gets more supply because you then look crazy. you're sticking up and you're anxious and you're frustrated and you're confused. And so you're wanting answers, and then it comes out and you're like, hey, what the hell? Like, why are you doing this behavior? And this can happen in private or in public. And then if it's in public, other people are going to be like, you're crazy. What are you talking about? This person's so amazing. Like, I don't know why you're so upset. But what they're not recognizing is the dichotomy behind closed doors. So then the people that they're being so nice to and people pleasing and looking like the savior, what's happening is these people are thinking that you're crazy. They're not seeing what gaslighting is going on. They're only seeing this person that looks so great because, again, they have this mask on. And so when you as a person are like, hey, I don't feel right here, what you're doing is not okay, and you're trying to communicate, but this person isn't giving you anything. They're shut down completely. You look like the crazy one. And then other people are like, oh, well, you need to get the hell away from them. And it's like this game, this weird game. And you don't recognize the pattern. Sometimes they don't even recognize the pattern. And what happens again, it's that mask, the two phases. It's really harmful too, because a lot of people, when you finally stick up for yourself and you're like, this is what's going on, people are going to be like, no, that's not what's going on. We see him. He's or her. We see this person. They're so great. They're doing all these wonderful things. But what's actually going on is that's a public mask, right? And so people that you reach out to, whether it's family or friends, they're going to not see the entire story. And then they're going to think you're crazy because you're like, hey, you're not seeing the bigger picture here. And you're like, well, of course we're not. We're seeing this amazing person. So then this makes you test your own reality. You're like, well, maybe, and that's when it goes back to, well, maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe this person is the most charming person in the world. Maybe I've got this super confused. Maybe it's really me that's causing the problem. And this is the game. And it's not healthy. It's not healthy at all. And the fact is, like, a lot of times, the person that is gaslighting, it doesn't even recognize that they're doing it because this is their supply. They're not being real with themselves, okay? They're trying to act a part to people please others, and then when it comes back to you behind closed doors, what's going on is they're so depleted, they're so tired. So then they shut down, or they get enraged, or whatever it is that happens. So again, you'll try to go out for support, and you'll feel stuck. You'll feel far away. So that is another form of gaslighting because you're made anxious because of all the stuff that's going on. You're afraid of talking about it because people don't see what's actually going on. So you feel crazy. So then you shrink inside yourself more. And the narcissist looks super charming. The person that's gaslighting you looks amazing. So no wonder, like, you're feeling anxious. You're feeling this way because you don't know what reality is. You're stuck in this dynamic. And the more information, and this is why I'm giving out this information, because people need to be aware, excuse me, that this is actually a form of gaslighting. And it happens so often that people aren't aware. Okay, so another form of gaslighting is if a friend comes to you and says to you, hey, things are not what they seem. This is what's happening at home. Instead of being that friend or family member that's like, dude, I'm confused. He looks like he's the life of the party. Like, he's so nice, or she's so nice. She pays for all these things. It doesn't matter if it's a he or she. This happens on all dynamics. But like this person that they're telling you, they're like, I'm confused. Like, no, that's not what we see. So instead of being that friend when someone comes to you and is like, hey, this is what's actually up, be supportive, right? Be like, okay, maybe this person is going through gaslighting abuse. Maybe there is more to this story. Don't make the person that's coming to you telling you this stuff feel even more little, okay? Because that's not helping the cycle. That's just perpetuating it. It's making it hard for these people that are trying to get out of this and trying to get support. It's hard for them to actually get that support. So this video today is to help you understand another dynamic, another played out toxic cycle that happens all the time. And like, what was the question? How about psychic telepaths that use your future to gaslight you? You know, some people do that. Some people do that. And those are the kind of people that you need to like go to them and be like, hey, what's up? Why are you like, you need to go over there. Instead of you getting wrapped up in their stuff, you need to kind of push it away. Like, that is my best advice for you, Bill. Push it away, because that's something that they need to work on. And the thing that they need to work on is taking off the mask, being vulnerable. Because when you're trying to be someone that you're not, it's fucking exhausting. It's absolutely exhausting. And we think that this is the misconception, too, is like, a lot of times people think they have to act a certain way in order to get validation. No, be who you are. Be yourself. Be true to yourself. Do your healing. Do your healing so that you can set boundaries. You can communicate. You can build a healthy relationship. If someone is gaslighting you like that, be firm and stand up for yourself and back away. Retract your energy. They're going to get pissed off and confused. They're going to be like, well, why isn't this person doing what they were doing like a couple weeks ago or yesterday or a month ago or whatever that is? They're going to be like, why isn't that person being how they were being before? Well, it's because they're being gaslit and they know it. So stand in your boundaries. And that other person, they're going to have to figure it out. It's not your job to fix people. It is their own job. That is their journey. The only person that you can control is yourself. And when people are trying to get energy off of other people, it's because, again, that narcissistic gaslighting energy, they're trying to fill their own cup up with other people's stuff, and then from that they get depleted. So I'm hoping this video today, guys, shed some light on another form of gaslighting. I'm hoping you got the information that was needed, and I love you, each and every one of you. Much love. I will see you guys soon for another video.